Brian, just your take on how the week ended right before a tough road trip for Colorado.
Good. Beautiful day out here. The grass is growing nice. Guys are in good spirits.
In terms of just health, can you give us any updates on?
Everybody's healthy except for Paul and Jackson.
And Leo Burley, I saw him also.
And Leo's got a hamstring injury, yes.
Considering the health of the team, how difficult has the week been with your coaching staff to figure out who's going to start?
Very challenging. And it's going to get harder.
What do you think is...
Following up on that really quick, how much do you factor in Colorado and what they do when you make those choices?
We're going to start, because we have a deep team, a lot of quality players. The nuance will be our opponent, although I'm always the kind of guy that likes to have opponents change for what we do. So I don't want to shift dramatically. There's always little tweaks, but it'll be against opponent, venue, fixture congestion. Some of those things will factor in a little bit more into lineup decisions.
Brian, in that, how do you factor in a player's form, the team's overall form, and then a returning starter who's now ready?
It's my job to win games, and how I select and why I select. There's always the gray area, because you might think so-and-so should start. You're going to think that this other guy can start, and you might think that someone else can start. But, there's going to be good conversations amongst the coaching staff, with players, but we'll do the best we can. Like I said, what I'd emphasize is we have a really deep squad, and those choices are going to be difficult.
What's been the key to your team getting in the primary assist zone? It seems like they're getting it.
We've been doing that for the last 5-6 years. That was some of our sports science guys, Ravi back in the day, doing the data, where do most goals come from. But, we scored some goals from distance, so we're trying to balance that out with set pieces, prime assist zone, shots from distance, shots inside the box, getting numbers in the box. So it's a combination of things.
We asked Paul. Go ahead, Jada.
I don't know. Well, they took some of the good questions, so I'm going to go a little bit off base here, but I wanted to ask about Steve Leonard being here. Can you kind of explain a little bit what his new position is with the team?
Well, he is going to help the players with the mental side of the game. And I'm not going to label him with an official title, sports psychologist, some of that sort of stuff. He is a guy who's had extensive experience in our league at winning. And then he went to school, and he's got some degrees, and, you combine real life experience with some book smarts and stuff like that. And we're hoping that we can use him to help guys that want to come and have a different voice in the coaching staff, and he'll take those conversations in private. They won't be shared with anybody. That's got to be part of his trust that he builds with the players. So we're excited for him to expand on what he did a little bit down in San Jose, and we'll see if it bears any fruit.
Just to be clear, though, he has degrees here. He's not he's trained.
Yes.
Experienced. Okay.
Yeah.
And then is this the first time for y'all to have a person?
No, we had Jim last year and a couple years before. God, for the life of me, I can't remember the name because I'm older. But we've dipped our toe in the water from time to time. We've had different speakers come, to help motivate the team, different parts of our career. But, it's just something that we want to try and emphasize with, young guys and, some of the senior players. If they want to, experience voice, there's Steve.
We talked to Paul yesterday about sort of balancing the desire to have an ability to win roster spots, to win playing time, versus recognizing that guys have established themselves and doing all the kind of things. And I guess when you're putting together a lineup, how do you go about balancing this idea that everyone's spot is up for grabs, but also not punishing someone for, missing some time for injury?
Well, it's always kind of been my deal that you don't want to punish a guy because he's injured. At the same time, there's hundreds of examples throughout our sport where it's unfortunate guys pick up an injury and team starts winning, and it happens. Sometimes life isn't fair, but usually the guys that are the starters, and there is change, and certainly there's change at the end of the season, but there's also small subtle changes within the season. It's going to be driven most by who's playing well and who's helping the team win, and that's going to be the main driver of that.
And is that particularly important, though, to be able to show players that just because you are paid X or you're X at the start of you're on this spot in the depth chart, that you can't work your way up and become a starter?
Well, that was much more prevalent years ago when you had 2 DPs and then the rest of the guys were making 60 grand, 80 grand, and there was some discrepancy there. I think the salaries have kind of evened out from top to bottom. I think it's a little bit more equitable, but yes, at the end of the day, you have to take into consideration they're human beings. They read what other guys make. You have to manage people, personalities. That's all part of it. But again, this group, they're very tight, very collective, so it hasn't been that big of a problem for us.
A couple questions on Colorado. Just first, your initial thoughts on the problems that they can give you guys.
Well, they're a very athletic, direct team. They'll dump it long, especially at altitude. The ball flies. I mean, we've watched some of their goal kicks and how direct they play, and ball sails, center back's looking to go for the ball, and all of a sudden it's dropped in behind him, and they do a good job picking up seconds. Good in transition. But, a beatable team. I mean, we have a lot of confidence coming in. We're a pretty good road team, so we'll give them a good game.
And then no Zach Steffen. This might be more like a Tommy Dutra question, but I'm wondering when you have a backup keeper in there, how much extra work goes into preparing for a team when a different keeper is in there?
We'll talk about it prior to the game, but we're not going to sit there and do anything different because it's the young goalkeeper, and which young goalkeeper it's going to be. But certainly Andy's aware of it on the set pieces. Do we cross the ball more? I don't know, but do we take a few more shots from distance, maybe, to test him early on? Again, because of the altitude, the ball does fly. So we'll do what we can to put him under pressure.
What's the best way to keep a guy like Rafa Navajo outside of the box where he's so dangerous?
Well, if we keep the ball or just make sure that our mid-block press is working. I mean, we don't want to get pushed back. I know it happens. But he's obviously got some quality. Yep, he's a good athlete. I mean, Mahalovic is the brains behind things. So it's a good team.
How good does it feel to be on, a winning streak, or having the opportunity to get?
Well, it's a small one, Jada. Thank you for that, but it's a small one. Ask me if we go undefeated in 8 or something crazy like that. Or last year, what was our? Last year we went the last 18. We were like, you should. You should. You're under pressure right now. Jackson would probably know, but if it's if it's okay, but if it's a longer streak, like towards the end of last year, then ask me that question.
Yeah, it just seems like a long time coming to get to this point, though.
Well,
feels like
it feels very good because we were kind of down here, and you kind of lift yourself up and you can breathe a little bit, and hopefully that can carry over to some more good performances because we got a tough road. We got another road game, one home game, and then another tough stretch of away game, so it's going to be challenging.